Cincinnati fans are being called delusional. That's right. You heard me right. Some people out there think Cincinnati fans are delusional for a couple different reasons. We're going to talk about that, along with a couple other things about the game, right after this word from my sponsor. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory today across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com, or you can come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
This is for Cameron.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Mountaineer Paul. You've landed here again at another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. It's game week, guys, and if there's any way to get the bad taste out of your mouth from a previous week's loss, and even when it's disgusting as last week's was, it's a new game week. We get to focus on good things. West Virginia won in basketball. We feel pretty good about this week in football. Hopefully some of our freshmen grew up a little bit more this week. Things like that. So I'm recording my preview of the game today as well. But before I did that, I thought I would touch on this topic because I found it to be fascinating. There are those in the Cincinnati camps that want this to grow into a rivalry for obvious reasons, trying to obviously make their brand be a little bit shinier. Rivalries obviously sell tickets within college football, even if for a short period of time. And there would be on the WVU side saying, well, hold on a second here. Who said this was a rivalry? And with good reason. And so I got searching around and looking up different things. And man, there's some people with strong opinions on this. And Eugene Napoleon on his Mountaineer Now YouTube channel with Schuyler Calihan. Both of those guys had a lot to say, but I honed it on Eugene because he is a former West Virginia University player who have been involved with the program in some respects. He's obviously talks about them every week on his show with Schuyler Calihan, and I thought, well, I'll just put a little clip up of what he said. Before I do that, though, here's what Scott Saterfield had to say about the potential budding rivalry of West Virginia and Cincinnati.
Talk about West Virginia, you know, a team that Cincinnati in the past has a history with and have played a lot of ball against West Virginia. We have not done very well, according to the stats here, you know, playing West Virginia. But I do think this will be a natural rivalry as we move forward in the Big 12. A team certainly very close to us on this side of the East Coast, and you know, so I think both fan bases and both programs, this is going to be a great game that we'll be playing each and every year.
So he kind of just glosses over the fact that WVU has dominated the series. He didn't go into the numbers, and why would he? And then started kind of talking about the fact that this is going to grow and possibly into a rival. And I don't know who else has said that this week, but West Virginia people have fired back, especially Eugene Napoleon, and he's not the only one. Schuyler Calihan did. People from other shows have. Even people from Cincinnati. A writer I saw on another show said, no, this can't be a rivalry. It's too embarrassing from our side. So here's what Eugene Napoleon had to say. Really strong words for the Cincinnati people.
Let me say this. Because I don't, with the sake of not being disrespectful, let me just say this. Now, Cincinnati says this is a, you know, we're going to make this, you know, it's a series like this is, you know, us and West Virginia. Okay, we played, if I'm not mistaken, 19 times, correct?
20, 16, 3-1.
So we play, okay, so 16, 3-1. 16, 3-1. You gotta be kidding me. Now, if the delusion is real, and to go more into the delusion, if you think you're gonna come into Morgantown and get a win Nah. And I can probably tell you why not. Well, for one, this is Don Nealon's weekend, man.
Yep.
This is Don Nealon's weekend. So, yeah, probably tell you why not. Well, one, for going to come into Morgantown and get a win. Nah. And I can probably tell you why not. Well, for one, this is Don Nealon's weekend, man.
Yep.
This is Don Nealon's weekend. So, yeah, you picked the wrong weekend to come to Morgantown.
Whoa, talk about a heat-seeking missile from Eugene Napoleon, who played the position, running back for West Virginia, lowering the shoulder, laying the boom on Cincinnati faithful. And I understand why. I got to looking into it more. Obviously, did I know the series history before this week, like as far as the exact number? No. Honestly, I think I remember that 2008 Tony Pike win in overtime, the loss to Tony Pike in Cincinnati. That loss felt like 10 losses to me at that point in time. I was so mad we lost that game in 2008, which was the year we played in the Meineke Car Care Bowl, if you don't remember. The Hakeem Nicks behind the back catch that year. So that was an odd year with Pat White, and, they didn't reach any expectations we thought they were. I believe Jeff Mullen was calling the plays, and Bill Stewart was there, and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, in my opinion, I'm going to put up a few reasons why I think this is not a rivalry myself. And not saying it can't grow into one. Obviously, with history and time, anything can grow into a rivalry. And sometimes things speed that process up. It can happen, like overtime games, things like that. But here are a few reasons why I think this is not a rivalry. Number one, it's just not a long history between the two schools, right? It's not like West Virginia and Cincinnati have been playing for as long as West Virginia Pitt, or even West Virginia, Virginia Tech, or hell, even West Virginia, Penn State, West Virginia, Syracuse. I mean, you can go down the list. Maryland. This is nowhere near any of those games. And obviously, not being a rivalry before the hiatus, it's almost like it's brand new again. We've got basically a whole new generation of people who have never seen these two teams play. So, with that said, conference realignment worries. We don't know where this conference is going to be in 5 years. The next contract, it could go towards a better place. It could go towards a worse place. We could head even further down the path towards two super schools as the SEC and Big Ten start to gobble up everybody else. Obviously, the ACC will probably, by that point in time, be out of their contract. Where will those teams be? And so you just don't know from year to year who you're going to be playing. And that's just the nature of the beast these days. It's unfortunate. It's not 2008 anymore, where you can foresee yourself. I mean, we would have never saw the Big East collapse coming at that point in time. Maybe some people did, but I didn't. So I just watched the football. So for that reason, I think you have to look at conference realignment as a big deterrent with new rivalries. This has not been a competitive history. We're going to get into it just a little bit. But West Virginia's dominated the series, and it's not even really close. We don't even play every year. We don't even play next year. We play 4 of the 5 years, which is good. But you need to play a rivalry every year. They should have protected this game for us, but they didn't. And so 4 out of 5 is good. It's not great, but we'll have 4 out of 5 chances to maybe prove that this deserves to be on another larger stage as a rivalry. And number 5, the length of the series is just too short. 16-3-1, the full record. West Virginia versus Cincinnati, which is a pretty dominant, but still not really long enough to be, in my opinion, a true rivalry. Or otherwise, we would have. I mean, you would think we would have rivalries in the Big 12 by now, but we don't really. I mean, we kind of had one with Iowa State. We kind of had one with TCU. And none of them really. Baylor, that first game, we thought maybe that was going to be a good one, that 70-63 West Virginia win. That never came to fruition. the Big 12 is just too competitive, really, year in and year out, and teams fluctuate up and down the standings. You know, it's not like you don't have an Ohio State and Michigan every year who are really good every year, or at least most years. I think you need that too. Teams need to be good, so most of the time ranked. You get these ranked matchups, and that just heightens everything, right? Or there at least have to be stakes. So, in my opinion. So let's look at some of the numbers on this thing in black and white. So the history does date back to 1921 through November 12th, 2011. That's another thing. Playing 20 times over almost 100 years, it's just not a lot. It's way too spread out over the course of time. Now, once we got to the Big East, obviously, it started to look up. And if the Big East not fallen, I would say this would be a true rivalry by now. But unfortunately, we just got cut off just too short. So the last 3 games in the series here, you see, one of them does involve a West Virginia loss. And that 2009 game, 21-24, I remember that game very well. The first year after Pat White. I think that was a Jarrett Brown-led team, and it was just not a very good football team anyway. Subsequent years after that, obviously the 2010 years was a good year. That was one of the best defenses we ever had. 2011 was another good year. So, you know, we had some good years there as well. It's not like we weren't a good football team at the time anyway. And Cincinnati just never really beat us very often. The 2008 game, which lives in my memory, is haunted in overtime. The Tony Pike-led Cincinnati Bearcats, the string bean of a quarterback that he was a good player. Threw that in the end zone in overtime to beat West Virginia. And yes, my box fan was broken. So, and then from there on, it's a string of wins for West Virginia. 7-6-5. No, we didn't play in 2004 for whatever reason. And then 2003 was the other loss to Cincinnati, 13-15, which is an odd year. And then from there on, I think this is the 7-game winning streak that West Virginia had, spanning from 87 to 2002. As you can see, there is a 66-point win on there, which is just insane. And several others. There's even 3 goose eggs on the front end of this thing, which obviously back in these days, you never know what you're going to get, but Cincinnati was obviously probably just not very old program at this point in time. So this has not been a competitive series. And obviously, I think that's the number one thing West Virginia people are saying here is, where are the times that we've been pissed besides Tony Pike, you know, and that 2-point, or that I keep calling it 2-point conversion because it was right on the goal line, that overtime touchdown pass, you know, and unfortunately, there are none. So don't think it's a rivalry. Want to beat Cincinnati just like I want to beat Oklahoma or UCF or anybody else. Maybe that will change, you know, but as of right now, that's how I feel about it. Let me know down in the comments, guys. How do you feel about this? Like the video as well. Please do that for me. Would really appreciate that. Feed the monster that I call the algorithm. And last but not least, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, guys. We're on the road to 2,000. We're getting there slow and steady, which is cool with me as long as we get there. So, I agree with Eugene Napoleon. He had strong words, and as a former player himself, would know what rivalry games look like, having played in some really good ones and tough ones over the course of his career as a Mountaineer. So, kudos to Eugene Napoleon for always speaking his mind and being completely honest about these things. Very proud of him for doing that. Hope you guys are too. But let me know in the comments, guys. This is a rivalry game to you. Do you view this as a rivalry game? Am I wrong on the subject? Would certainly love to debate any and all comments down below. Really appreciate you guys for checking in. As always, this has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talk Football. This episode is over, guys. I'm out.
This is for Cameron. Cam.